Listen, I am in the best shape of my life in my 40s, and it's not because of some magic supplement or a magic training program. It is down to the fact that I stopped listening to all the BS that's out there and started doing something that actually works. Here's what nobody actually tells you. Getting in shape and getting jacked in your 40s is actually easier than doing it in your 20s if you know what to focus on. See, you now have discipline. You now understand your body, and you most certainly don't have time for any of the nonsense. Today, I am breaking down the exact 5-step system that I use to get into shape and get jacked. No complicated science, no weird biohacks, just a simple no BS system that actually works. Now let's get into it. Before we get started, let me explain that this video is not about looking like a 25-year-old bodybuilder. It's not about training 6 times a week for 3 hours in the gym. And it is most definitely not about some crazy supplement stack that's going to make all the magic happen. This is about creating sustainable muscle mass, getting stronger, and feeling incredible, while dealing with a career, maybe a family, and also the reality of being in your 40s. I wasted years overthinking this stuff, reading every article, every single study, trying to learn the next best thing. I hopped into so many different programs, so many different training styles. What I am sharing today is what finally stuck, what finally helped me to stay consistent over the last few years. Stick around till the end, because step 5 is the one that most people really do ignore and is probably one of, if not the most important. Step 1, lift heavy, but also lift smart. So you can't build muscle without progressive overload, period. So what that does mean, you will need to lift heavier weights over time. But here's where guys in their 40s screw up. They lift too light because they're scared of getting injured, or they go the other way and they ego lift and lift way too heavy, they end up getting injured. Instead, here's what I find works best. Focusing on the big compound movements like your squats, deadlift, bent over row, bench press, or even overhead presses. They are going to incorporate so many muscle groups, you're going to build more muscle in a shorter space of time. You don't need 15 movements per exercise. What you really need to do is focus on 4 or 5 solid movements done consistently. My weekly training split looks just like this. I start off with heavy upper and then a heavy lower session, then push-pull legs. This mainly consists of compound movements. The reason why I'm aiming at 3 to 5 sessions per week is because I want to try to hit each muscle group at least twice. Now, my bare minimum is to hit 3 sessions a week, and I think the golden spot is probably 4. But I like getting that extra session in. So for me personally, my personal preference, I aim for 5 sessions, so I get at least 2 rest days. That quite literally is it. I aim each session to be around 45 to 60 minutes, no longer, because you don't need to be in there any longer. I want to get in, hit it hard, and get out. And here's the smart part. For every single exercise, I work with a rep range between 6 to 12 reps. I aim that with that 6 to 12 reps, it's going to be challenging enough, but also light enough that I can control each rep and feel every single contraction. What I also do is I track every single lift, each weight, how many reps, every single lift, with the goal of either aiming 5 pounds to each lift each week or aiming an extra 5 reps. Now that is what is progressive overload, and that is how you build muscle. But also, and this is crucial, I leave at least 1 to 2 reps in the tank. I don't want to push to failure on every single set. That is a young man's game. In our 40s, all that's going to do is wreck our joints and wreck our recovery. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't go hard. I do go hard in every single session, but I leave a couple in the tank. There's one more thing. You need to really focus on making sure that you warm up and you're also focusing on mobility. It has to be a non-negotiable. You're not 25 anymore. In your 40s, you really need to make sure you're warming up those joints and getting your body ready for the lifts you're about to do. Summing it all up, lift heavy compound movements, progress slowly, leave a few in the tank, use good form and focus on contraction, and make sure that you warm up. Step 2 is eat enough protein. You can't build muscle without protein. The body just can't do it. Now, the biggest problem that most guys in their 40s have is that they think they're eating enough protein when they really aren't. One chicken breast at dinner, or maybe some Greek yogurt with a little bit of fruit, just isn't going to cut it. It's nowhere near enough protein for what you need. And actually, research is showing that guys in their 40s actually probably need a little bit more than anyone younger. Now, realistically, what you want to aim for is anywhere from 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. But if you're in your 40s, realistically, I would actually bump that up to maybe 1.2, 1.3 grams per pound of body weight. If you're a 200-pound man, then you really need to be aiming for at least 200 grams of protein per day. Here's what I usually do. I usually aim for about 30 to 50 grams of protein for each meal, usually around 3 to 4 meals every day. So that would be 30 to 40 grams for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, with a protein shake or maybe 2 throughout the day. I usually do my protein shakes in and around my workouts. What does that actually look like? Well, let's just say 4 whole eggs is going to work out to about 24 grams of protein. So I usually bump that up to anywhere between 6 to 8 eggs. So we're looking at 30 to 40 grams just from my eggs in the morning. Then at lunch, a chicken breast, if you're looking at 150 grams of chicken, you're looking at somewhere around 30 to 35 grams of protein. I normally aim to take that up to about 200 grams of chicken. Then in the evening, there could be another meat source. Plus then, for my snack later on, I'll have some Greek yogurt. And usually about 100 to 150 grams of Greek yogurt is going to give you anywhere from 20 to 30 grams of protein. Plus then 2 scoops with my protein shake, you're looking at 30 to 50 grams of protein, depending on what brand you use. Now, that is complicated, but it is essential. And you need to be doing this with intention. The goal is to get enough protein to help you build muscle, to help your metabolism, and get jacked. Now, I also don't obsess over calories, but I do track my calories, whether I'm looking to gain more muscle and gain size, or if I'm in a cutting phase. I believe that if you don't track, you will be lying to yourself. So my simple rule for each of the meals is to prioritize my protein. So every meal starts with what protein source I'm going to use, whether it be chicken, eggs, Greek yogurt, whatever it may be. And then what accompanies my protein source. So for me, it normally goes from protein, let's say chicken right now, to then what veggies, and then the carb source. My priority is always going to be protein first. So that's it. Step 2, hit your protein goal every single day. No excuses. Next is sleep like your gains depend on it. Because they literally do. This is where a lot of guys in their 40s really do sabotage themselves. See, they eat really well, they train really hard, but they're only sleeping 5 to 6 hours in a night time, and wonder why they're not making any progress. When you sleep, your body releases growth hormone. It also repairs muscle tissue and also regulates hormones like testosterone and cortisol. Now, if you don't get enough sleep on a nighttime, what happens is your testosterone will drop and cortisol will spike and leaves you with an uphill battle. Here's the actual reality. You don't build muscle in the gym. You build muscle when you sleep. In the gym, what the sole purpose is to break down muscle fibers in order for it to repair and create adaptation for your muscles to grow bigger. So the magic does happen right here in more ways than one. Studies have shown that if you have just 1 week where you sleep only 5 to 6 hours a night, it can make your testosterone drop by 5 to 10%. That is quite a significant drop as well. This is what I do. I aim to get 7 to 8 hours every single night. My bedtime non-negotiables are get to bed at the same time every night. that includes the weekends. So I do aim to get to bed for about 10:30. Sometimes it'd be 11, so I do give it that half an hour window. No screen time for at least an hour before I go to bed. The room is also dark and the temperature is cool. A really big one for me is I make sure that I don't have any caffeine after 2 p.m. It really does make a big difference. Look, I know you're busy. I do get it. It is tough. But if you're training 4 to 5 hours a week and you're only sleeping 6 hours a night, you're leaving so much on the table. Sleep is the lowest hanging fruit for most guys. Now, if you fix your sleep, everything else becomes easier and you will see more gains. So that is step 3. Quite literally, get your ass to bed, get some sleep, and watch the magic happen. Step 4 is be patient with recovery. This is one of the hardest things for most guys to do. But let's be honest, when you're 25, you can get away with training 6-7 days a week, eat like garbage, not even worry about sleep, maybe 4 to 5 hours, and still make gains. At 40 plus, this is not happening. See, your recovery is your limiting factor in your 40s. This actually took me years to accept. I kept training like I was in my 20s and really pushing harder and harder every single session. And then I realized that I was getting banged up and it was actually halting my progress. Once I respected my recovery, everything changed. What I learned was more training isn't actually better. Better training is better. I train 3 to 5 times per week, and in between those days, I'm actually doing active recovery. Now, that doesn't mean I'm sitting on the couch all day. I'm following my recovery protocols, which are daily walks, usually 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes up to an hour. Now, what they do is they help to increase blood flow, but they also help me to think more clearly and reduce stress. 10 minutes of stretching before bed. I don't know about you, but I know that I definitely feel my lower back and my hips get really tight. And just by loosening up my hips helps me get a better night's sleep. A minimum of 1 full rest day. Now, that is a rest day from lifting, but that doesn't mean I'm not still being active. So I will still do maybe a light walk. I like to keep my steps in every single day. Also, every 6 to 8 weeks or so, I also do a deload week, which is quite literally just turning the training volume down and also the load. Now, what this does, it keeps me healthy, but it also stops me from getting burnout. And let's be honest, as we've already been talking, in our 40s, we need to really focus on recovery. And it's not always more is better. Better training is better. At 40 plus, training hard is easy. The discipline is in backing off when your body needs you to. So there we go. Step 4 is respect your recovery. Like it's part of your training, because it is. And now, step 5, probably the most important out of all of them. And that is to optimize your hormones naturally. No one really seems to talk about this, but after 40, testosterone will start to naturally decline. That's just biology. It doesn't mean that you can't slow it down. Now, what a lot of guys tend to do is they just accept that it's inevitable and just carry on with what they're doing. Their lifestyles actually impact it negatively, therefore speeding up the decline. But there are things you can do to slow the process down. Now, the steps I've already covered so far, like lifting heavy, eating more protein, concentrating on recovery, they are going to be foundational. They all help promote healthy production of these hormones. But there are a few other things that you can actually add to help you optimize your hormones. And number 1 is going to be stress management. See, stress is going to increase cortisol. And let's be honest, we've all got busy lives. You need to find a healthy outlet to help release that stress. I tend to find my daily walks really do help. Also spending time with the family. But another big one is also saying no. You don't have to do everything. Also, make sure you get plenty of sunlight or vitamin D. Now, obviously I live in the UK, vitamin D is very scarce, so you're going to need to look at supplementation. Vitamin D deficiency is also linked to low testosterone. Don't drink too much. Now, I'm not saying don't ever drink, but try and limit it to just the weekends. Because if you're drinking every single day, what that actually does, it messes with your sleep patterns, which will in turn mess with your hormones, and therefore mess with your recovery and also your gains. Try and keep your body fat down, so stay as lean as you can do, because excess body fat converts into estrogen. With an increase in estrogen, it will decrease testosterone production. And there we have it. Step 5, optimize your hormones. Let's do a quick recap of all 5 then. So let's lift heavy but smart. Also, eat plenty of protein, aiming for 1 gram per pound of body weight. Number 3, sleep. Get plenty of sleep, aiming for 7 to 8 hours every single night. Number 4, respect recovery, like your gains depend on it. And number 5, optimize your hormones. And that's it. No secrets, no magic pills, just execution of these 5 things. This is what I want you to understand, that in your 40s, it's not about doing more. It's actually about doing less, but doing everything right. It's about being smarter than what you were in your 20s. We have got advantages now that we didn't have back then. You have got discipline, you've got patience, and you know what actually matters. So use it. Now, if you found any of this helpful, then please subscribe. I will continue putting no BS content out for guys in their 40s that just want real results. Drop me a comment and let me know which one of these 5 steps you're going to focus on first. I do read every single comment. Now go, get after it. Train smart, stay consistent, and I'll see you in the next one.